I was cramping in places I'd never cramped before. It's the toughest of the majors. I don't want to jump the gun because I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
You got your place at the TCS Sydney Marathon presented by ASICS. This is the one major that I haven't run, but I'm with someone who has actually run it. Aubrey, I'm going to be absorbing everything you have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the first thing I want to say, depending on where you're traveling from, prepare for the travel. I traveled from England and it's a long way away. And therefore, there is fatigue, there is the jet lag to contend with. So for you guys, depending on where you're traveling from, you could even be traveling further than I did. So make sure you give yourself enough time that when you get there, acclimatize, get rid of that jet lag, the fatigue. That would be my starting point. The second thing is, to me, the expo. One thing you shouldn't miss, Amrit, is get yourself some Sydney Marathon Expo kind of merch. That bit, don't miss.
Tell me about the climate, the weather on race day. What am I expecting to get?
Believe it or not, even coming from England, I was frozen cold on race morning. So I came in joggers, a hoodie, which I then disposed of at the start line to get donated to charity. So please make sure you dress up warm because you can always adjust down.
So you're at the start line of the Sydney Marathon.
Yes.
What is it like? Is it up? Is it down? Or is it completely flat?
That Harbour Bridge feeling, to me, is so epic to go through. But there's a danger in that. You start to overthink, you start to over-deliver, unless we always say, you're feeling fresh at the start. I can assure you, the elevation profile of Sydney Marathon will tell you, don't go out too fast. And I didn't, but it's very easy to. I should tell you, Sydney Marathon is my current marathon PB. That's the confusing bit because from an elevation profile perspective, it's the toughest of the majors. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's pacing, it's controlling what you can, like we've said, because the start can give you this false confidence to really give it everything that you're gonna have to pay for at the end.
So we know with all these marathon majors, they are a sightseeing tour. With Sydney, there are some iconic landmarks on the course. Which ones do you hit?
As you go off, you're on the Harbour Bridge. Now, you get a different view of the Harbour Bridge at the start because you're on it, right? Once you get past it a bit, there's a point where you come back to it and where you're now seeing it, you go under it, and then there's the Opera House just in front of you. Once you do that, there is the mother of all out and backs, right? But you will then come back to this Opera House. We'll get to that bit. I don't want to jump the gun because I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. But these are landmarks that people pay money just for that, let alone running a world marathon major. So for me, I think seeing the Harbour Bridge, being on the Harbour Bridge, running a marathon and the Opera House, nothing like it.
The course profile of Sydney, I've heard, is up there with being quite hilly and very undulating. How was it running for you?
No, you heard right. You heard right. Now, the elevation profile requires you to be very intentional about how you pace those hills. So I knew that if I'm to really conquer this, I can't go slower than X pace. Mm-hmm. But that X pace was a very forgiving kind of pace. The other thing that I knew I needed to kind of mentally prepare for is the out and backs. When you're seeing the faster runners go the opposite direction to you and fully knowing how far they've gone to be able for me to be seeing them, that can be challenging in your head. So preparing for that. When you look at the mileage marker on your right and it says X, and there's literally one on the other side of the road that's double that or something like that, it can sort of get a bit demoralizing if you're not prepared for it. But if you look at the course map, if you look at the elevation profile and you know it's there, it allows you to prepare way in advance. And I have to tell you, I prepared well enough that I still have my marathon PB at Sydney Marathon.
And I think it's great that you mentioned about the out and backs. And I think one of the biggest tips that I've always held in my locker is either observing where you are on the course, knowing that you are going to be turning back, maybe counting the lamppost, counting to 10, counting to 100 if you could do that and stomach it. Just different ways to distract yourselves from rather than watch gazing. I tend to not stare at my watch during these races, and when you do have a long section on the course like Sydney, there'll definitely be moments where you maybe write on your wrist your whys, some different memos, different things that reiterate why you're doing this, just because it gives you some chance to just reinvigorate yourself, take a momentary check-in, and also with those outbacks and sort of the nature of the course, it gives you an opportunity to just focus and use your mental strength.
Yeah, and a practical tip I want to give to everyone. I must say the most challenging hill that is on the Sydney course for me, it comes, I want to say, at the 39K mark. Let me paint the picture. Normally, I cramp up in my hamstrings, right? But at this particular hill in Sydney Marathon, I have never cramped up in my Achilles, my lower calves before, ever. You get to the 39. Now, it's not a very big hill, but it's simply where it is. I'm about to end this marathon, and then there is this hill. I felt my legs cramping. It started with the hamstrings, my quads, my Achilles, everything was cramping. I was cramping in places I'd never cramped before. So I think to your point, preparation, training, especially for those hills, get those hill reps in, because hills pay the bills.
So Aubrey, talk to me about the finish of the Sydney Marathon. At what point, because you know that you do finish in front of the Opera House, at what point do you know that it's coming? Do you see it in the distance? Is it something that you can fix your gaze on? Or is it something that just comes around the corner? Talk to me about the finish.
Yeah, so, and this is the crazy bit about Sydney Marathon. That hill I just told you about, whilst you're on that hill, or at least coming to it, you could see the Opera House on the other side. But it requires you running round out to a point where it's no longer visible. And then you start going down this hill and it appears there. Now, Amrit, I have to tell you, I'm biased. You know me, we're London Marathon people. And the mile being such an epic finish line, it was up until I ran Sydney Marathon. And I'll say this now, hand on heart. That is the best finish line of all marathons. When you see that finish line, it's more than, oh, I'm done with the marathon. It's literally one of the best views. Even if you take the marathon finish line away, it's one of, and I come from a photography background, it's one of the best views you could have. What Sydney Marathon did last year, and I didn't understand, the medal for Sydney Marathon,
yes.
I thought someone took a bite out of it. It was missing chunks, but they had aligned it that if you held it up to the Sydney Marathon, it was the shape of it. And if you lined it up perfectly, depending on perspective where you're standing, it was the actual roof of it.
Anyone who's done Sydney Marathon, can you drop in the comments the pinpoint location? So when I'm doing Sydney, I want to go and get that epic shot.
Can I just say, take me with you. Okay. I'll help you if you want. Just have to cover the flights and the hotel, but I'll help you identify exactly where.